Well, the American stock market regulator has approved the launch of exchange-traded funds which track Bitcoin overnight. Business reporter Ed Boyd joins me. So, Ed, the Securities Exchange Commission has approved 11 funds for the US market.
Yeah, overnight they've approved 11 funds which basically track the cryptocurrency Bitcoin, which was invented back in 2008 and began trading a year later in 2009. So now 2024, we've now got an exchange-traded funds that are tracking Bitcoin. So basically, if you're an investor, none of these funds have launched yet, but they're expected to launch imminently on the US stock markets over the coming weeks and months. So there's 11 companies that have been allowed to track these Bitcoin funds on the ETF. So if you're an investor, you'll be able to buy one of these funds and have access to cryptocurrency without actually buying Bitcoin yourself. The fund will buy it for you. So obviously the price of these funds will rise and fall with the price of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin, which has been a pretty volatile price. There's been some big fluctuations in the Bitcoin price since it started in 2009. It reached a peak more than $56,000 a coin in 2021 and then collapsed in 2022. But now it's been on the way back up in a pretty big way over the past 12 months. And really a lot of it has been the speculation that the US regulator here, the SEC, was going to approve Bitcoin ETFs. So that's obviously happened overnight. We've seen the Bitcoin price, it's been up about 8% in the past month and more than 150% in the past year. So currently Bitcoin's about $47,000 a coin. And there's now lots of global investors that are probably potentially now thinking about buying an ETF in Bitcoin on the US market. So expect to see a few launching in the coming weeks and months, Simon.
Yeah, so it's a pretty positive news for those exchange-traded fund operators in Australia.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of Bitcoin ETFs already on the Australian market. There was a couple that launched early last year on the CBOE exchange, which is different to the ASX exchange that we'd all be familiar with. But a couple of those funds basically died out due to the Bitcoin price collapsing in 2022. But now there's another fund called Monochrome. They're looking to launch on the ASX later this year. They still obviously need to get all the full approvals to launch on the Australian stock market, but clearly the approvals in the US markets are a positive step for Australia because we use a lot of the similar sorts of securities laws as the United States. And if it can be approved in the US, it's probably pretty likely to be approved here. So potentially by the end of this year, we might see some Bitcoin funds trading on our ASX stock market as well. And just quickly, Simon, the market has opened this morning. It's up about 0.2% in early trade.